Welcome to the Enlightened Pet Behavior Podcast. I'm your host, Susan Light. In a world overflowing with conflicting advice and often misguided information, my mission is to be your trusted source for accurate, kind, and truly effective strategies to understand and shape your pet's behavior. Join me as we shed light on common challenges and work to foster a deeper, more harmonious bond with our beloved furry family members. If you find the show helpful and enjoyable, please consider showing your support, subscribing, following, rating, reviewing, and sharing with friends. It just takes a moment, but it significantly boosts the show's visibility and helps more pet parents discover it. Thank you so much. Let's get into it. Today we're talking about pet insurance. This is a topic I've been wanting to cover on the podcast for years, and I just haven't found the right guest until now. She is a certified professional dog trainer, pet lifestyle expert, and co-author of Working Like a Dog, with over 15 years of experience training animals from bears to beloved family dogs. She specializes in positive reinforcement and has prepared animals for therapy work, film, and service roles, and beyond. Her dogs, Maggie and Rossi, along with her horse, Cali, star in commercials, stage shows, and training videos designed to help others build stronger bonds with their pets. She's also the author of a blog, and she recently did a breakdown of pet insurance that is hands down the best resource I've ever seen compiled on the topic. It's so thoroughly researched and so easy to understand. I've linked the blog post in the show notes, and you can head there at any time and check it out for the most thorough breakdown of what pet insurance is, how it works, what it covers, what it doesn't, and what to look for when you're looking for a policy. She's even talking about the specific companies and their pros and cons. And she was kind enough to sit down and chat with me about this super confusing topic that I get so many questions about. Please welcome Nicole Ellis. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I'm super excited to talk about this. I think this is one of the questions I get the most, and I'm seeing it all over Threads. Oh my God, are you on Threads?
Yes, a little bit. I'm not on it enough as I should be, but
I feel like every other post in my feed is like, should I have pet insurance? What's your pet insurance?
Yeah, and it's sad because a lot of the time people are asking that. It's kind of too late, which we'll dive into, of course, but then it's just sad and frustrating.
Yeah, so obviously it's on people's minds. I don't think enough people really understand how it works, so let's get into it. What does pet insurance generally cover?
So what it generally covers is accidents. So we're talking your dog swallowed a chew toy, they broke a bone, they get an ear infection, surgeries, hospitalizations, and then on some plans, it's going to cover alternative treatments. So that's going to be your laser, acupuncture, physical therapy, rehab, and sometimes medications. So basically
yeah.
the unexpected veterinary expenses.
Yeah. So what does it generally not cover?
So what it doesn't cover as much is going to be our expected veterinary expenses, which is having a dog where you have a yearly vet visit. That's not covered. Our yearly vaccines aren't covered unless we opt into that. But that's not the general use of pet insurance. And then it's also not going to cover pre-existing conditions. So, and this is a little different than human pet insurance. I say this is the biggest difference of human pet insurance versus dog, in that let's say my dog Rossi has allergies, he's itching, and I want to go get pet insurance. Well, he itched before I got the pet insurance, so now allergies will not be covered. Or your dog needs knee surgery, and then you get insurance. Probably both knees won't be covered, potentially. So anything related to anything before you got insurance will not be covered for the life of your pet.
And they do generally ask, like they will contact your vet and ask to see their file so that they can know what those are. So don't think you can just be like, oh no, they're fine.
And they'll like deep dive into it. I knew somebody who like the vet at like the 8-week-old visit put dog was scratching its ear at the visit. And then years later, they tried to fight that allergies weren't covered. And you can rebuttal things, but it does take work. It takes work from your veterinarian. It takes work from you. So they are an insurance company. And just like human insurance, it's not always easy. So just know they are going to dig into those things. And then there's also waiting periods. So like some pet insurance, even if you sign up when your dog's a puppy for 6 months, they might not cover broken bones. So those are things we need to look into of things that might not be covered.
I think orthopedic things tend to have like a year wait also, right?
Yeah,
Because they don't want you to find out your dog has hip dysplasia, sign up for pet insurance, and then try to get them to cover it.
exactly. So those are little the fine print details that you really have to dive into. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of those.
Yeah. And I don't think I've ever seen one cover like a spay neuter.
So some of them will, but that is if you opt into like a wellness plan. So wellness
Mm,
plan is going to be what covers your yearly vet visits. And sometimes those do cover spay and neuter. Sometimes they'll even cover flea medications. And that's a whole different ballpark. But that's sometimes what they'll cover. But your regular pet insurance without that wellness option will not.
yeah. So do you think it's worth adding a wellness option?
I have pet insurance of both my dogs, and I do not have it. And I think of it kind of like you're just paying in advance, and you're basically prepaying for the care your dog's going to get. I don't find that it usually saves you very much money. And if it's going to save you money, it's going to be maybe in that first year where your dog has more vet visits, you have the spay and neuter, and you have more things potentially happening. And again, not every dog gets spayed and neutered the first year. So
Right.
for the most part, that limit's usually not very high. And so you're usually going to go over it anyways. And there's also people like myself that aren't going to vaccinate every year. We do titer testing, which isn't going to be covered. So I'm not even getting the use out of everything I can submit.
Yeah.
So I
Totally.
myself don't think it's worth it. And I have compared a lot of plans and I haven't seen any that are remarkable. With that said, though, when your dog does go in for an emergency, that could be an ear infection even, there is a vet visit. That is
Hmm.
different than your dog's yearly vet visit. And some insurance plans will cover that vet visit, and some insurance companies will not. And that's company by company basis. And to me, that's something I knew I wanted covered because anytime we go in, whether that's a cardiology visit or I want my dog's allergies looked at by the dermatologist, there's going to be a vet visit. And that was something that I opted into to get covered. And I do think that is worth it.
And you're talking about the exam fee
Uh
specifically
huh.
on that itemized bill. So, like, if the ear infection is covered, they might cover the medication, but not the $55 that the vet charges you to come in the door
Yeah. So
and
often
look at them.
for the ear infection, they'll cover the ear cytology testing and things like that, but they're not going to cover that $55 fee.
Yeah.
So there's a few companies that do cover it. FIGO's one of them, and I have a few other on my blog that I break down that do cover what that is. And that's usually something you need to opt into. And I definitely think that is worth it. If you're going to choose between the two, definitely opt into that over the wellness plan.
Yeah. So it's also different than human health insurance because we show them our card at the doctor, we might pay a copay, and then we maybe will get a bill later, right? That's how it works when we go to the doctor. How does it usually work with pet insurance?
So for almost every company except for one, how it works is you're going to pay yourself. So it's not going to save you the money up front, which is where some people might need care credit or you might need to use your credit cards and you still need to pay that vet visit. And then you're going to go submit your paid bill with your itemized report. And sometimes they're going to follow up with your veterinarian to get full lab work and everything from them in some cases. And then you'll get reimbursed whatever that percentage is minus your deductible. So I get 80% reimbursed back to me. And my insurance reimburses really quickly. So mine, usually within 3 days, my claims are closed and then my money comes to me. I've seen some, though, take 3 weeks. I've seen some take over a month. So that's going to vary company by company who you're working with. But it is something you're going to have to pay upfront. And the one that's different there is Trupanion does have a partnership with some vet offices that they will cover it, but you can't rely on that. And that's not going to be 100%. So that's just one benefit of that company. In an emergency, they might be able to do that for you.
Yeah, so that's a good point that you're going to want to hopefully have some credit available to at least upfront cover that bill, even if
Exactly.
it's going to be covered.
And you're going to get hopefully some of that money back depending on your plan, but it's important that you're able to pay it. And I've seen people who have pet insurance, but they don't have the funds upfront to pay it. And you're
Hmm.
kind of in a sticky spot because your insurance is going to help you until you have a paid zeroed out bill.
Yeah. So that's, you mentioned care credit. If people don't know what that is, that's something you can use it for human health care as well. And it's specifically for visits like this, like the vet or like going. I think the only time I've used it, this might be TMI, was when I got laser hair removal when I was like really young. I think I did it on like a care credit.
That's so funny. And they often offer like low interest or 0% interest or they have various things to try to help people out. And that's not affiliated to your vet office. So something
Yeah.
specific to look into if you are in a bind. And then there's a few other things I think important to discuss where there can be confusion. And one of those is understanding deductibles, reimbursement, and limits. And one of those limits is your annual and your lifetime limit. Some companies have unlimited benefits, which is what mine does. My friend's dog, I was just talking to her today, is with Embrace, and her limit's 15,000, and they just raised her plan astronomically, where she's almost paying half that for her dog's senior dog's insurance plan.
Mm-hmm.
And $15,000 sounds like a lot at first glance, but when you look at it in the world of vet visits, it's not. My dog,
Especially as a lifetime.
yeah, and like my dog had a vet visit today, and hers is yearly at 15, but my dog had a vet visit today that was $1,000 just for a heart checkup at a specialist. There was nothing special done. That was one visit. I mean, that's in one visit, and 15,000 can go really quickly. So this is where you need to look at these numbers in the terms of vet care, and like a surgery for a dog can easily be $4,000 to $6,000, and then you add into that they might need physical therapy, they might need extra medications. That quickly can be well over $10,000 from one procedure.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely try to compare plans and look for those unlimited options. I think that's really worth it.
So there's a couple of things I definitely want to make sure that we touch on, because I think this is really the crux, right? So hopefully if people kind of understand just generally how it works, now they want to go shopping for insurance. I think everyone's tendency is to buy the lowest
Yes.
premium they can find. But what should they actually be looking for? We talked about limits. Anything else? Like how
It's
can
just
they
a few
compare
things.
these plans?
And when you first are shopping for pet insurance, understanding what you're looking for is helpful, and not just looking at that end rate. Know also that your rate's probably going to go up each year. It's not
Yeah.
based on your claim for most companies. I found a lot of claims. It has nothing to do with that. It's based on usually the rising cost of pet care and your location. I pay more in Los Angeles than my friend in Ohio does. Simple as that.
And it
Things
goes up every year because your pet is aging
yeah.
as well.
And like I have a dog that's almost 18. For like 9 years, I didn't submit a vet bill for her, like to my insurance. I still paid for it. And to me, that was like, if she doesn't need to go to the vet, like I'm still winning. My dog didn't go to
Mm-hmm.
the vet. That's awesome. And then as she's gotten older, now I can go see specialists and I can go take her to anything I need to. And this is where my insurance helps me, and I can put care of life ahead of my concerns with my credit card bill.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, there's obviously a lot. And then often when we do get into an insurance plan, we can't raise it later. So if you say, I want 60% reimbursement, they're not always going to let you raise it to 80% later. So a lot of times you kind of get locked into what you're in. So just something to think about. And
Mm-hmm.
a few things. So deductible is the amount you pay before your insurance starts reimbursing you. This is a little bit like car insurance in
Yeah.
that it's a little confusing if you're not used to it.
Yeah.
Um, so if my deductible is $500, they're not going to pay anything until I've spent $500, which means anytime my dog goes to the vet in the beginning of the year for any specialist, I still submit it because that's all going to go towards my deductible. So while I'm not going to get reimbursed for that, it's still really important. And then reimbursement rate is the percentage that's covered. So the higher you choose this, the higher your plan's going to be. I do 80% because 90 was really expensive. I have a
Mm.
friend that did 100% not knowing this, and she paid a lot for pet insurance. So I say look around 70 to 80%. If you can do 90, even better. So if your bill's $1,000, 80% is going to give me 800 back. Not bad.
Well, whatever your deductible is.
Minus the deductible. Yep. Once
Yeah.
you start paying that.
So if your bill was $1,000 with this nice round number and your
Yep.
deductible is 500,
Yep.
so you're going to pay 500, and then you're going to get 80% of that second 500 back,
Yep.
which is what, 300?
Something. Yeah.
I took math for the liberal arts. Something like that. But yeah, so that's good to know.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is a bit of a gamble. We are gambling on if something's going to happen, but I mean, God forbid our dogs get cancer. That could be $15,000 easily.
Yeah.
I mean, overnight stays, specialists, it can quickly add up. Removing a
Yeah.
swallowed toy can cost $7,000. So just understanding that you have this peace of mind. And then copay is a portion of covered costs that you pay after deductible. So that's like mine's 80%, I pay 20%, which is my copay.
Mm.
Um, that's the amount I'm paying out of pocket. And then, as we discussed, there's annual or lifetime coverage benefits. But really understanding your deductible and your reimbursement rate. If you make that reimbursement rate really high, your insurance rate's going to be a lot higher. And same with our deductible. Some people
Mm-hmm.
have $1,000 deductible. Their
Mm-hmm.
insurance is going to be lower monthly than someone that has a $500 deductible. But also, you'll start getting paid back after you spend 500 versus 1,000. So
Right.
it's
Yep.
a bit of a gamble and a money game. But if it's a $10, $20 difference for the year, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. And that's really what people have to realize is in the purpose of insurance is spreading risk out
Yeah.
across the population, right? So it is going to quote because I see all these posts where people are like, pet insurance is a scam, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's other people who are like, it absolutely saved my dog's life. That's normal. Some people will pay more into the system than they ever get out in care, and some will get the opposite. They will get a lot more care out than equal to what they paid in. That's how insurance works. It's
Yeah.
not a scam. That's how it works.
And I think people also get mad at the rising costs, but your
Yes.
dog does go to the vet more. That's just how
Yeah.
things work.
Yeah.
Um, and yes, there's always the argument that you can put money in a savings account. Okay, but are you going to have $20,000, $30,000 sitting there? And then I think there needs to be a plan after that. Do you have a credit card ready? What else can you do? Because I
Hmm.
don't think that's the best only option. And I think the best option is having a savings and your pet insurance, best of both worlds, personally. But
Yeah.
emergencies happen. You could end up going to go to the hospital, and now that savings is gone.
Yeah.
Um, or you never know, life can get crazy. So that's where, unless you're absolutely putting thousands of thousands into a savings account, I just don't think it can be worth it. $1,000, $5,000 in your savings account isn't enough to give me at least that peace of mind, knowing we need to run additional testing. No problem. I'm paying
Yeah.
20% of that. Awesome. I can get the best care possible. And even the littlest incidents can. I had a dog Maggie, who had a cyst removal that got botched during aftercare a week after. And I ended up spending $15,000 over my additional claim just due to complications from the aftercare. So there's things we cannot plan for.
Hmm.
And I think that's where insurance, like when I got the quotes, I was like, no problem, just do whatever's best for her and I will be fine with it. Because at the end of the day, I know I'm covered.
Hmm. So that's really how you have to think of insurance. Insurance is for those like your pet needs surgery or your pet needs um, cancer treatment, your pet needs all these kinds of things. I think surgery is a huge one,
And
obviously, and
like
there's a lot of reasons they might need it.
with our regular insurance, we're used to going to a doctor, getting our blood work, and our insurance covers it. But that's not really
Right.
how pet insurance works. Pet insurance is specializing in those emergency situations.
Yeah. So I think it's important to do the math and think about that and realize you still need either a credit card or a savings account for your deductible. And remember, deductible is per pet. So, like, I have 4 pets.
Yeah.
So I would need to make sure I have enough cash on hand to cover at least up to the deductible if, we
And
had
then
them
on the
all go
deductible
in.
clock, there's a yearly deductible or an incident deductible. So yearly
Mm,
means I need to meet my $500 per year, every year, December 31st, whatever mine resets. Now, if you have a per incident one, this might work for a dog who has one issue their whole life. Great. So Rossi has allergies. I pay that deductible. That deductible is now tied to that incident of his allergies. A new incident is a whole new deductible. So that's how Trupanion does it. All the other insurance companies do it differently than them. But this could work great if your dog has like one issue and year to year, you're not paying that deductible over and over again. But you could have 4 issues in one year,
mm-hmm.
in which case you're paying that 4 times. So you don't know we don't know what's going to happen to our dogs. We all want our dogs to be as healthy as possible. So it's really going to just vary. And then, as you mentioned, you have 4 dogs. I know people have even more, 4 animals that have even more than that. And they say it
Yeah.
is possible. Well, first of all, it's a lot cheaper for kitties. So if you do have a kitty, that
Hmm.
definitely
It's
helps.
true. Except one of my kitties is 16, but yeah.
Yeah. Um, one of the insurance companies, Spot, offers an accident only policy. And I know we've talked about accidents a lot, but this is really only major accidents versus like he has an ear infection.
Hmm.
So that's going to be cheaper because it's literally covering only the big things versus the small things of he ripped his toenail and we need to go to the vet visit. That's would be covered normally. Under their plan, it's not, but it is a lower cost. So if you do have a lot of animals and they have no upper age limit, so if you have older dogs, you could still get it. That might be an option for you. So don't think it's just not possible. I own 6 dogs. So there's a lot of plans out there, a lot of companies out there, and that might work out great for somebody.
Yeah. And it sounds like if you're going to go the insurance route, the best thing is to get it as soon as possible and plan on trying to keep that same insurance throughout their life so that you don't get caught with the pre-existing conditions and you can meet those deductibles and things. But we want to make sure that people realize that it is going to keep going up, because I think what's happened is lately people's premiums have spiked pretty significantly, and
Yeah,
then
there's
they're
one
faced with,
company
yeah,
in
should
particular.
I, yeah, should I cancel now because I haven't been saving for the last 10 years? I've been paying my pet insurance,
Yeah,
right? Like that's a tough spot to be in.
it's a tough spot. And on Reddit, there's a lot of conversations about this. This is Healthy Paws
Hmm.
in particular that's raised theirs more than I honestly would be able to keep it if I was paying it. And they're really, so to speak, messing up a lot of people's plan for their pets.
Hmm.
And like you said, they didn't have another plan because you signed up early on, and now they're raising it an insane amount. We're talking somebody's bill I saw online went from like $150 to like over $1,000 a month. It's like no
Wow.
one can afford that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, so we hope that ours doesn't do that. Healthy Spot is not the one I would sign up with now, knowing that this has happened over and over to many, many people. So definitely doing your research
Yeah.
helps.
Well, Nationwide screwed me over because
Yeah,
I had all my pets through Nationwide, and then they just started, they're like, we're not going to offer this coverage anymore. They're basically not offering the 80% reimbursement thing anymore. They're like dropped it down to 50%.
which is
And I
crazy.
was, yeah,
Yep.
and I'm like, I don't even, at that point, it wasn't even worth it. And I was shopping around. But yeah, so I mean, that is something you have to also consider. Don't go with the cheapest company that's cheap right now, and you don't know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, Nationwide's not a cheap company. Like, you really can't tell what's going to happen. But go with a reputable company, you'll be more likely to be better off.
And what a lot of people don't know, and it doesn't make a massive difference, but I think understanding it's interesting, is that there's a parent company, JAB Holding. They own most of these.
Oh,
They
wow.
own like they own FIGO, they own SPCA, they own Nationwide. Like the list is
Mm,
kind of crazy. So it's one big parent company owning the majority of the pet insurance out there, and that's pretty scary. Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, it's one company calling the shots. And I think that's an interesting thing to know, is that they're all varying in how they handle things, but it's still the same overhead that's been buying up pet insurance after pet insurance. Like since I've been with FIGO, I think they've changed hands twice now. So kind of
Mm,
crazy. And we just don't know when those things are going to happen. But I've made my money back. And that's another important thing. I've had friends that have pet insurance that haven't gone to do specialist stuff because they're worried it's going to raise their insurance policy, but you can look it up and they'll tell you if it's going to or not. Like, does this company raise it based on my claims? And they'll say yes or no. Mine
oh.
doesn't. And so I have a friend with dogs allergies. I'm like, I would be going to the dermatology. I would be getting acupuncture, seeing if that helps. Like, see all your options, but
Mhm.
make use of what you're paying for. So
Yeah.
I've more than made my money back because I've done what I can to help my pets thrive. So I think it
Yeah.
definitely.
So knowing that a lot of them have the same parent company, which is crazy. Are there any specific companies? Obviously, if you picked FIGO, you must like FIGO.
Um,
Um,
if I were to choose today, like starting scratch, new puppy, I would do either True Panion or FIGO, hands down. those are my top two choices. And then the biggest difference is going to be, well, one, both of them, you can opt in to cover that holistic care. And that's something that's important to me and my pets. It might not be someone else. FIGO, they can cover the vet visits, which Trupanion does not offer that at all. So that's one big difference. The yearly deductible thing out of Trupanion, not yearly, the
it's like per condition
per
or something.
condition. I
Yeah.
quite like that, and I think it's interesting. I don't know that I like it enough that I would have chose that over FIGO, but those are definitely two of the ones that would be at the very top of my list. Based on everything going on lately, Embrace would not be. They don't have a very high annual payout. Their annual payouts from like 5 to 30,000. Like there's no unlimited, so that wouldn't be. And then Healthy Paws wouldn't be, just because of what's gone on recently in the world
Yeah.
of pet insurance.
Yeah.
And probably Nationwide at one point was the best, but they're not anymore. So
Yeah.
that wouldn't
And
be. And I think Nationwide is very confusing. There's a lot of small print. There's a lot of frustration going on. So no
yeah.
thanks.
Well, that was the other thing is I got all my pets at different times. And so all my pets had slightly different policies through Nationwide because they
Yeah.
offered something different. Anyway, I liked them until they started really, even with that, like
Yeah.
it's not as clear as Trupanion where it's like, this is what's covered. But then they kept being like, no, they just dropped my 16-year-old cat. And then they dropped my dogs down to 50% reimbursement. And I'm like, this is not what I
And
wanted.
like I think that's important of understanding, is that some will not cover hereditary or congenital things. So that's like breed specific genetic issues. Those are issues we're going to see in our purebreds. So if you do have a purebred dog, that's something to look into if whoever you're shopping for covers. I have mixed breed dogs. That doesn't really apply to me.
Yeah.
Um, Myself personally, I wanted a plan that covers holistic treatment. My dogs do laser, they do acupuncture, they do all that. So, and I do it for a reason. So my senior dog is IBD. Great, helps with that. Exam fees, that was important to me, but might not be to you. And then I think having no condition caps, and this is where it gets confusing, but some companies have caps for specific issues. So like maybe the lifetime payout or maybe your yearly payout's $50,000, but it could have a hip dysplasia cap of $4,000.
That's not much.
And you're like, okay, well, I thought I had all this coverage, but for these very specific things, I don't. So understanding and looking up, are there condition caps per condition? And some don't and some do. And that's can really just mess you up and kind of put a blindfold over what you thought you had. And for me, having unlimited lifetime and annual coverage was important. But might not be for you guys. So those are just a few of the things I would look into. And then also senior age. Are they going to cover my pets when they're older? Or if I have an older dog, can I sign up now? And some will have a cap of a certain age and some of them won't. And some of them will keep your dog or cat as long as they live. So that's going to be some just other things, as you were talking about senior pets.
Yeah.
That's important to understand and look into. Like Pumpkin, they have no upper age limit. Figo has no upper age limit, I believe. So just things we have to look
Yeah.
into because we want our pets to live to those old ages.
Yeah. So unfortunately, it's not really simple
No.
picking the right plan, but at least maybe now you know what to look for. And like look back at some of your old vet bills and then kind of look at this plan and say, okay, what would I have gotten back? What would have been covered here? Right. To kind of wrap your mind around if this is good
And feel free
coverage or
to,
not.
like, I think ask friends or call your vet. What's the average cost of a broken leg? God forbid.
Mm,
What did my friend pay for her dog that had cancer? I had a friend whose dog broke a leg and she had $20,000 coverage. She had enough to cover surgeries, checkups, but she didn't have enough to cover any of the physical therapy.
mm,
She had no idea that that's what vet care in Los Angeles costs.
yeah,
So, which $20,000 is a lot of money,
it
but it
is.
wasn't enough. So, I think also looking at these crazy expensive things, and God forbid we don't need them, but what does a scope cost? Like some things need multiple tests, multiple exams to actually figure something out. And
Yeah.
that's where the prices go up, or when our pet's in the hospital for multiple nights.
Yeah. I think a CT scan is like $3,000 to $5,000.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know Maggie had like pancreatitis and was in the hospital for like 1 or 2 nights, and I spent well over $5,000 just on that.
Yeah.
Which isn't even that crazy. It
Yeah.
wasn't like anything broke. We didn't need follow-up, but you just never know. We're like, when she had her cyst issue and we needed additional surgeries, I ended up getting ozone treatment for her. I ended up getting hyperbaric treatment for her to kill the bacteria, speed up treatment. The average dog owner is probably not going to do these things, but it was covered, and my dog is now 18 and thriving. So
Mm-hmm.
it was an option I could do because of it. And that's something that's important. And that's something, as science is changing, maybe we can do more for them
Yeah.
and hopefully get it all covered, because not everything's cheap.
And that's kind of the point of pet insurance, is being able to say yes
Yes,
without it financially ruining you, right?
exactly. Um,
So,
so I think between diagnostics, surgeries, chemo, I think a big takeaway is vet care isn't cheap. So unless
mm-mm.
you have $20,000 laying around that you do not mind spending in 5 seconds for your pet, definitely take a look.
Mm-hmm.
As we mentioned, I have a blog breaking down as much as I could a bunch of the insurance to give people a head start, just because I do find it's very overwhelming. And from when I wrote it 5 years ago, so much has changed. So definitely, maybe by the time you read it, things will change too. But definitely, you can take a look and maybe you'll get an idea of some things that are important to you and your pet, and get a little bit of peace of mind.
Yeah. And I have linked that in the show notes for everybody, so that it's easy to find. Go check it out. It's very detailed.
It's very detailed. It's a lot. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. It's a great resource. It's awesome. But I always think it's funny when I try to cover these topics to be like, oh, I'm going to make it simple for everybody. And generally it's not simple. It's
No,
not simple, but I don't think people have someone to sit them down and walk them through it like this very often.
I started,
So,
because I did it originally quite a few years ago when I started looking for Maggie, my best friend at the time. Well, still my best friend. My best friend's dog had a cancer diagnosis. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with him for a few days, and they spent over $20,000 on a diagnosis for their golden retriever that had to be put down the next day.
mm,
And I was like, I can't afford this. This was 10 plus years ago, and I was like, I still can afford it now, but I was like, oh my god, what would I have done? So that's
mhm.
what like kind of spun me into this. And as I started looking, it was so overwhelming. It
Yeah.
took me months to pick an insurance myself for my dog. And I was like, had notes and notes. And I was like, I have to put this out there so someone else can at least use my research, because this took me so much time. And there's so much people don't know that I didn't know that I've learned along the way. So I'm like, and then since doing it again, I'm like, oh my God, so much has changed from companies and what they offer and don't offer, that we really, it's nice to be able to provide a resource to help others to make sure
Yeah.
our pets have care. So
Yeah.
definitely do it sooner than later.
And I know almost every vet recommends that you have some kind of pet insurance, because every day they really see heartbroken owners who just can't afford to get their pet the care
The thing that
that
gets
they
me
need.
is whenever I see the GoFundMe's, and
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of donating and helping people, but I'm like, you wouldn't even most likely be in this situation if you had pet insurance. And now it's too late,
Yeah.
because whatever you
Now it
need
won't be
the
covered.
GoFundMe for is not going to be covered. And there's so many pet GoFundMe out there, and some of them are for $5,000, and some of them are for $50,000, and every single one of those could have had some sort of help, and
Yeah,
that's really sad.
definitely. Let's not end on that note.
No,
What else can we talk about?
keep your pets healthy,
And
basically.
on a high note, yeah, yeah, have a good relationship with your vet. Take them in, because prevention will always be cheaper than treatment.
1,000%. And that's like feel your pets. I think find bumps, find the things that are weird, and ask your vet versus waiting, because that's when things
Mm-hmm.
get worse.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can catch things earlier, so having a vet you can trust, and sometimes you need to go to more than one vet. That's fine.
Yes, that's totally fine.
And I've changed vets over the years. Like we change as people too. So finding
Mm-hmm.
someone you can trust and you trust with your pets is so so important, and that has the same beliefs in treatment as you and can explain things that you understand. So definitely. And then I love going to Fear Free Vets. If you don't know what that is, I will plug Fear Free. Fear Free takes the pet out of petrified, and
Hmm.
basically it's creating a whole different vet experience. I go to two vets now that are both Fear Free. They don't usually have exam tables, or if they do, there's a yoga mat on the exam tables. A lot of dogs have a fear of falling. So we're putting them on a metal table that's slippery. We're creating more fear at an already scary place. So we're taking that away. then they're also adding toys and treats, which gets their brains happy. We're playing, we're eating snacks, we're not scared. They'll do bandanas with pheromones. They'll sit on the floor and talk to your pet. And a lot of times they won't even if your pet's stressed out, they might even have you come back. Maybe give your pet something at home to calm them down, because stress can affect our dog's blood levels, changes in it. So I think if you have a pet and there is a fear-free vet near you, every client and friend I've sent to one has been like, I've never had an experience like this. And it overall can make the vet exam easier for your dog, easier for them to find things for your dog or cat. And often cats are examined in a different room than a dog, because when they're stressed, they can put out different smells. So that's kind of a neat thing for the kitty and dog owners.
Yeah.
And I think just having a pet that's not stressed at the vet, also, you'll be more likely to take them in when you need to. So
Yeah.
definitely take a look near you.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and put a link to the fear-free. You can search actually fear-free trainers, fear-free groomers, fear-free
Yeah.
vets. They have all those things that you can look up on their directory. And even if they're, so fear-free is like a certification that people pay for to be on that list. You
Yeah.
might be able to find a fear-free vet that just doesn't pay to be on that
Honestly, also,
directory.
there's two different
But
directories. It's a little confusing. At one point, I think it's still like this. You could have a fear-free vet practice or a fear-free vet, and it's a different price.
ah,
So a lot of vet practices don't show up. When you look for vets, it does. So I would do the search by vets, not by vet practice,
mm,
because I know there's a big one near me that didn't immediately show up.
yeah. But you can ask, what I'm saying is you could call around to vets and just ask, like, do you know what fear free is? Do you do that? But you can start with the directory. But if there's nothing near you, you could try calling
Absolutely.
and seeing. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really
All
appreciate
right.
all this research you did and sharing it with us.
Yes, thanks for having me, and hopefully we can help keep some pets healthy out there.
Thank you for listening to the Enlightened Pet Behavior Podcast. I hope you and your beloved pets have found valuable insights for a more harmonious life together. Please remember that this podcast provides educational information only and is not a substitute for professional veterinary or behavioral advice. If you need personalized support, please don't hesitate to contact me and we can explore how we can work together to achieve your pet behavior goals. You can reach me at enlightenedpetbehavior.com or via email at susan@enlightenedpetbehavior.com. Special thanks to Mac Light for composing the podcast's music. You can find him at maclightsongwriter.com. All these are in the show notes for you. Treasure those fur babies, and I'll talk to you next time.